Hello, hello. Welcome everyone to today's live 10-minute 2-Tip Tuesday. I'm Amelia Borland with Higher Standards Caregiver Training. Let me first start off by saying, I hope you all had a happy Thanksgiving. I hope that it was safe, healthy, and that you had a great time and that it was stress-free and you didn't have any family drama or anything like that. Anyway, happy post-Thanksgiving. I'll cut to the chase though. As always, we've got 10 minutes of hopefully the most valuable free education that you're going to get all week here on 10-minute 2-Tip Tuesday. As always, also, this is for educational purposes only. Please, if you hear anything that I say, if anything that I say makes you think of someone who you think needs to be seen by a medical professional, then please make sure that person is seen and assessed and evaluated and treated by the appropriate licensed healthcare provider, as this is for educational purposes only. Okay, so we're going to get a little bit nitty-gritty with this first tip for today. And of course, as always, this tip is for caregivers. This is a really important thing for caregivers to know, whether you are a family caregiver, whether you're a professional caregiver. This is definitely something to be aware of. Definitely, if you are a professional caregiver, then you want to be super conscious of this because, you know, if you're a professional caregiver, you probably have more than one client, whether you're working in kind of a residential community or you're in home care, whatever you're doing, you probably are treating you probably are working with more than one client. So this is really important to be aware of. Okay, so the tip is, you need to know if your client or the person that you're caring for has any issues related to sensation. So when I'm talking about sensation, I'm literally talking about someone's sense of touch, whether or not they can tell the difference between different temperatures, whether or not they can feel pain, whether or not they can feel pressure, that kind of thing. And this is really important to be aware of just for safety. So there are so many reasons, like more than I could list in just 10 minutes, why someone might have reduced sensation, impaired sensation, or no sensation at all. I'm sure that you can think of examples right now. So really commonly, often folks who have diabetes might have poor or limited or no sensation in their feet or even in their hands related to disease process. Of course, folks who have spinal cord injuries, people who have strokes, there are any number of conditions, injuries, illnesses that can lead to reduced sensation or no sensation. And it's really important for caregivers from all walks of life to understand if the person they're caring for has any of those sensory impairments. Because if your client can't feel, or the person that you're caring for cannot feel, then they're not going to be able to tell you if something hurts. They're not going to be able to tell you if they're in a bad position. They might not be able to tell you if something is happening to their body where their body is being damaged. Really common and unfortunate example of this. I actually used to work on the burn unit fairly regularly and would unfortunately see a lot of folks come in who had a sensory impairment for one reason or another, a lot of diabetes related sensory impairments. And they might have been in the tub or the shower, perhaps by themselves or perhaps with a caregiver, and they weren't able to tell how hot the water was on their feet. And so people would come in with really terrible burns on their feet. And that is just honestly, it's a nasty business. Don't want that to happen to anyone. Obviously, that's just one example of really unfortunate and serious injuries that can be caused by not having an awareness of that reduced sensation. And, you know, it kind of runs the gamut, what can go wrong with that. But that's why it's so important for you as a caregiver to understand if someone has reduced or impaired or no sensation in one or more areas of their body, so that you can be doing things like double checking that temperature, so that you can do things like keep an eye on that area of the body. So you can do things like maybe reposition more often, double check, get eyes on it, check that skin, make sure everything's okay, so that you can make sure that damage doesn't occur to those areas of the body. Because unfortunately, the consequences can be really, really, really kind of unfortunate in those cases. So that is tip number one. If you are a caregiver, make sure you understand if the person you're caring for has limited or reduced sensation in any area of the body, so that you can help keep an eye on that and keep them safe. All right, tip number two, as always, is for caregiving organizations. And this is a really important thing to understand for any business who serves any kind of customer, which is, of course, all businesses. But I think that this is something that's really important to highlight in the caregiving industry right now, because so many things have changed as a result of the pandemic, but also because as different generations age, expectations of different generations and different people can be different. So the tip is to understand your customers. And I know that sounds sort of obvious, and it sounds really, really basic, and it is. But I bring it up because it's something that comes up a lot when I'm talking with lots of different caregiving organizations. That, the especially organizations where maybe you are an organization, you've been around for 10, 20, 30 years. The client that you are serving now might be really, really different from the client that you were serving 30, 20, 10, maybe even 5 years ago. Because of course, different generations have different expectations. There are cultural changes over time. So, the care expectations that, say, a baby boomer has might be really different than the type of care expectations or the kinds of interactions that you might have had with someone from, say, like the greatest generation or the silent generation, which isn't to lump everyone together and say that everyone's needs are the same, but it is to say, in fact, it's actually exactly the opposite is what I'm saying, is you really need to know who are the clients that you are serving. Get to know them, talk to them, try to understand who is this client that I'm serving, what are their needs, what are their wants, what are their expectations, versus assuming that those expectations, that those wants and needs haven't changed over time, or that they haven't changed as a result of the changes that we've undergone in our world in the last couple of years with the pandemic. So anyway, like I said, honestly, very, very basic tip, but it's worth checking into, especially in caregiving organizations, because the folks that we're serving over time, their expectations, the culture that they grew up in, their wants, their needs, their desires, they may not be the same, because, of course, as time marches on, we all change. So anyway, that is it for me. That is it for today's 10-minute 2-Tip Tuesday. As always, I will be back next week at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time for another live 10-minute 2-Tip Tuesday right here on LinkedIn. In the meantime, if you have any questions for me, any concerns, if you want any clarification, if you want to, if you want to talk about any of the things that I discussed today, share your thoughts, ideas, whatever it is, please feel free to reach out to me here over LinkedIn, reply to the post, reach out to me, connect with me. I would love to connect with and speak to anyone out there. In the meantime, I will see you next week. Please take care, be safe, be healthy and well, and enjoy your week. All right, bye y'all.